have now been the Minister of Police for probably 6 weeks now. What is the state of the police? By your assessment, will there need to be changes? Will you be affecting changes?
Yeah, thanks, Jules, and pleasant good afternoon to you and to Belize who will be listening. Yes, Sio and I are settling in. Both of us are new to the ministry. He is not new in the sense that he's been in police, but new to the Ministry of Home Affairs, which has just been created. We're settling in, and yes, we have looked at it. We had a meeting last week, Thursday, I think it was, with the various unit commanders to assess where we are first and where we want to go. In a nutshell, I can say to you that the projection will be basically serious crime reduction. That has got to be the goal. And to do that, there are some elements and some units that we have to strengthen. It is my firm belief that crime right now is seen to be paying, and we need to reverse that where crime doesn't pay. To do that, we have to be able to take it to its end game of incarceration and due punishment for various crimes as the law prescribes. To do that, the police needs to be able to investigate properly, prosecute properly. And so we start with intelligence, then we go to the prevention, which is the operations unit if we can, but if the crime does happen, we need to be able to investigate it properly. We need all the forensic support we can, and then we need to put together a very strong case for prosecution so that in fact we can get a conviction. And those are the steps, and those are the areas we're looking at. Also looking at, as I mentioned on the podium here a moment ago, community policing, to strengthen that and to incorporate that more and more into the society. So we get away from this image that the police is the enemy and all the infamous terms one used to hear, pigs and whatever you call police. No man, police officer is your friend, he's a peace officer, and therefore you need him to help to keep the peace and the safety in the nation.
So touching on the first thing that you said, the investigation, is there any update that you have provided in the case of William Mason and any of the officers that were allegedly close to him?
Well, I don't know about officers that were close to him. As far as I know, there's a file at the DPP. And the Director of Public Prosecutions, whose constitutional and legal position is that she prosecutes, is reviewing that file, and any additional information that she may need, I think she will seek from the police. But it hasn't gone beyond that because there's nothing really to go beyond that until we hear from the DPP if she's satisfied with how the file is presented. And that's all I can say on that at this moment.
Sir, and have you been apprised of anything new on the McAfee investigation with the fresh trove of, it seems like actionable information that emerged out of the document?
You know, Jules, I have a big problem with nasty videos and things. And actually, you told me you're going to air it on one Tuesday evening.
The Broadcasting Authority told us we couldn't.
Yes.
Because of the
nasty element.
Nasty element.
Right, and so living where I live and not having access to all these fancy sites like Showtime and so forth, I got snippets only. But I did hear it was rather nasty. I understand just a while ago from my officers that in fact a team was sent up there to have further investigations, and that's all I can say at this moment. You know, I never give out information that are not fully accurate.
There are allegations that one of the girls has been detained and she was at one of the police stations here in the city.
I don't know, my dear. You'll have to ask the Commissioner of Police, that a senior officer who's been working on that. I haven't gotten that intricate detail of the police activity as far as that is concerned.
Sir, and then there is a matter also in the Orange Walk police formation. 2 officers are accused of being involved in human trafficking. Do you have any information regarding that?
Yes, I heard that they've been arrested and charges have been laid for extortion. And so the professional standards unit is going to be dealing with that as well. So that is where we are with that.
But how important is this, being that the police is very involved in the prevention of human trafficking, and then 2 officers are involved in it? How much does it damage the image of the police?
It doesn't damage the image of the police as such, but it is a sad day because I have always maintained that when the defender becomes the offender, then we have a serious situation to deal with. And I think that is why the police have moved with dispatch to try to deal with this one and to put the maximum charges against those officers who have violated the public's trust, the institution's trust, the department's trust, and their own trust.
Has the police done anything to assist the victims or to retribute the victims?
I don't know about that. I can't comment.
Sir, looking now at the view, that was sent out just a short while ago, it says it makes 3 points. PUP says no to bogus Senate Special Select Committee. The PUP is satisfied that the motion in the Senate is invalid for the reasons: one, the Honorable Min Hulse voted on the motion when he should have abstained, since his involvement in the scandal is a blatant conflict of interest. Minister Hulse's participation, point number two, Minister Hulse's participation in that Senate meeting was unconstitutional as he violated Section 121 of the Belize Constitution. Three, the motion presented by Senator Asher Rock was indeed a motion of the government and was an attempt to deceive the Belizean people and the Senate. It was a private member's motion. The motion was bogus, the voting was bogus, and the inquiry will be bogus. Your response, sir?
Political mischief. Nothing more, nothing less. I am appalled that a Her Majesty's loyal opposition, who would form the next government, will demean the workings of such a high institution as the Senate in which they serve. How on earth can you suggest that a motion that comes before the Senate, that is properly debated, that is voted upon, is a bogus motion, when all the terms comply with the requirements of the Constitution, Section 61A? How can you be so abject, downright mean as to suggest that an officer of the Senate, in the person of Reverend Senator Ashley Rock, who presented the motion, that his presentation was bogus? How can you suggest that, in fact, the passage of that motion, 7-5, and had I not voted, it would have been 6-5, so it would have passed. And if Senator Rock had not voted on his own motion, then, and I had not voted, the president would have voted and it would have been 6-6 and failed. Are we turning the democracy on its head? Is this guided democracy? Where in the civilized world do you find that any motion or bill that's passed by a duly elected and constitutional parliament, because you do not agree with it, that you want to overturn it? In fact, I was the one who moved a motion to reopen the debate on a motion for a Senate Select Committee. I had to move a motion for that because a previous motion was brought by Senator Shabat, which failed. I opened back that motion. There was proper deliberations. I did not participate in the deliberations. You were there, Jules. I did not say a word. In fact, my colleagues negotiated back and forth the terms with Senator Courtney. His propositions, several of them were accepted. He voted on them, yes, 4 or 5 times, the ones he put in. The final vote I participated in, which is my proper constitutional right as an appointee of the Senate, within the separation of powers between the executive and the Senate. I am not going to serve on the committee. If I was serving on the committee, then you could say there's a conflict. I will be prepared to sit there for 24/7, 365 and answer any question by any one of the good senators who's questioning. Now, if I served on the committee, you could say it's a conflict of interest. I will ask the question, does the Prime Minister and Minister of Finance recuse himself from a vote on the budget annually, which is a budget in his ministry, when in fact half of the time it fails on the opposition's count? They say it's a bogus budget, etc. Is he called to recuse himself? Come on, man, let's stop playing political mischief.
Sir, and then the Chamber of Commerce is having an SEM tomorrow, in which they are going to discuss reintroducing or retaking their motion to the Senate, and if it's not met with full approval, they will go on a one-day national shutdown. Do you have any comments on that?
Madam, let me say this again. I am appalled and surprised at the Chamber, this august body on which I served for many years and helped, together with some esteemed colleagues, to bring it back to an institution of prominence from its dilapidated state in 1994. I was its president and past president. In 2005 and 2007, we went on the streets. The Chamber championed motions for good governance and transparency, but specifically to get the Finance and Audit Act, to get these same constitutional provisions that now give rise to a Senate investigation. What we wanted at the time was to make sure that all money bills, etc., was brought to the National Assembly, as it was not fully the practice of the government of the day. We didn't try to steer the vote. We wanted it to be presented so the people could hear it. Now we have a situation where the Senate, where the Chamber did not put forward a motion. They did not put forward a motion. A motion was put forward by the leader of the opposition, Senator Courtney, and a motion was put forward by Senator Rock. The Chamber did not second the motion of Senator Courtney. That was seconded by, I think, Senator Woods or Senator Thompson. I don't quite well remember. So there is no Senate motion that was put forward to be refused or rejected. In fact, my understanding is that during the discussions with the Prime Minister, the Chamber was given an opportunity to put forward a motion, and I think the Prime Minister waited for them to come forward with it. They did not come forward with any. During the deliberations, the senator for the business community, Senator Lizarraga, got up and suggested some amendments that he would want. And if I remember well, there were 3 of them, 4 of them. But the ones that stick out was he wanted the Senate to approve a budget for the committee. Madam, I was a pariah in this country for having abstained many, many years ago, you may be too young to remember, on a motion for money bills to prove that the Senate has no money power. Today, every child knows the Senate have no money power. How on earth can a Senate that has no money power dictate a budget for its constituted committee? No, it could recommend, it could suggest, but it can't dictate. The second point was that no member whose name is called could serve on the committee. I had given, and naming is a special term, but I had given my word that I would not serve on the committee. This is not a foolish government. The Senate would never appoint me to the committee. But if we're calling names, I do know that Senator Lizarraga name appears also in that report, as so does many other people. So we have to be careful when we say whose name appears. And the third thing, so that was a non-starter. In fact, the Prime Minister as leader of government has already named, or already appointed, let me rephrase, nominated the 2 persons to be appointed to the committee. And that is Senator Barnett and Senator Aldo Salazar. None of them is Min Hulse. So that is a mute point. The third was the Constitution. Let me repeat again. During the Senate investigations that I did in 2004, there was no constitutional provision. There was none. That was introduced by the UDP. There was no constitutional provision. In fact, after my lengthy investigation at great personal expense and sacrifice, I was taken to court by the then Parliamentary Counsel, Mr. Kasiki, trying to challenge the validity of the Senate investigation, saying it was illegal.
Former
parliamentary counsel, now deceased.
Attorney.
Yeah, turned private attorney. Nothing came out of that investigation, despite it was stinging, except that the general manager of Social Security was terminated and handsomely rewarded. The point I am making is, subsequent to that, this government put in the constitutional provisions. The standing orders at section 70 says that any special committee shall be constituted in relation to the parties in the Senate. So let's do the simple math. The government has 6 senators. The opposition has 3. The ratio there is 2 to 1. The social partners have 1 each. There is no social partner senator. There's a senator for the business, there's a senator for the unions, there's a senator for the churches. You cannot have a quarter of a senator, so you do have to have each of those bodies. So each of them sit automatically. But the government sitting with 2 is fine, and the opposition with 1. Now I want to make this point because I have heard it said that Senator Rock will side with the government. Is that implying that the church, that the union, and the business will side with the opposition? It has to imply that. So in other words, the Senate is no longer, the so-called social partners are no longer independent. They are now partisan. If that is the case, it stands this whole appointment on its head. We don't need social partners anymore. Then all we need are government and opposition senators. Because if you are suggesting that you don't want to, because Senator Rock is so terrible, he will side with the government, is that such a bad thing? Couldn't another senator also side with the government's point of view? But if you are saying that it is a given he will side with the government, then it is a given the other 2 will side with the opposition. So what do we have? Please, ma'am.
So, but then would it be a concern if the chamber would go on a national shutdown, even if it's just for 1 day?
For me, absolutely not.
Is the government exercised about this issue? Is it something that it wishes to forestall? Is it seeking a dialogue with the chamber, your former good friends?
I don't know. It was discussed in cabinet today, but let us get the facts straight, You cannot open back. There's nowhere in a civilized world where you open back or bring back a motion, the same motion that has passed. The motion was to appoint a Senate committee. Isn't that what they wanted? My take to this is tomorrow at 10 o'clock, the committee will be constituted. The chamber should get there. It should vote for its president or chairman of the committee, and get on with the investigations, which will be public, which everybody will hear. And let everybody be questioned and asked, etc., etc. Get on with it and stop wasting the nation's time. Get on with this thing. I want to see it on. Now we're playing semantics, numbers of people there, etc. Man, get on with it.
Sir, and then finally from me, will there be a new commissioner of police? Is it an office that you're looking at? Are you satisfied with the current commissioner of police?
Not looking at the office, working with him quite well at this time. I understand he's a very young man and he has some time to go. But as time goes along, of course, all positions do change. People are promoted, people are removed. So far, so good.
Thanks, Godwin. You gave us all an education.